Hey, so in response to some interest from several places and people, um, I figured I'd share my technique or trick for getting the faux conduit look. Um, it's super simple, it doesn't take a long time, so I'm going to go over it for you and show you what you need, which is not a lot. Need wire. If you didn't notice, it is made of coiled wire. There's plenty of different types you can find in hardware and art stores, so get a bunch and experiment with it. It's not too expensive. This may have been like $2 or $3 for this roll. But you will need a certain gauge, so I'll get into that in a second. You need a rod, whether it be brass or steel. This is steel. Doesn't really matter. Steel is a little more durable, but you need a rod. You need a disc with the holes that you're going to put the conduit in, obviously. I'm going to get these examples out of the way. And you can see what happens if you don't be careful pulling it out. Snips, pair of decent ones. These are okay. These are much better. But anyway, I'll use these. Optional is soft jaw pliers. I'll show you what you can use these for. I prefer not to, but you can. And then finally, your power drill. I like cordless because I don't have to charge it and wait for it, and it doesn't die on me when I'm doing things. So first step. Well, actually, let me back up for a second and go over the math here. These holes are 1/8. This rod is 3/32. So I need wire, a gauge of wire that when wrapped around this rod will fit in 1/8. And I have discovered through some simple math, which I know people don't like, that 28 gauge will do the trick. So the way to do that is to either measure this with calipers or go online and look for the general diameter of 28 gauge wire and times that by 2, add it to the diameter of your rod, and you have the full diameter of your coil. 28 gauge, 3/32 gives you 1/8. It'll go right in there. So let's get to it. Leave that guy there. All right, first chuck up your rod. If you've cut your rod, excuse me, just clean it up or put that dirty end in the drill. Tighten it up, and if you don't know, your drill chuck has 3 jaws. What you want to do is you want to get a length of wire. You can use that if it's on a spool. You can use that to hold it, but anyway, straighten out your wire as best as you can. Looks like I got a little kink there, so that may mess me up, so I'm going to get rid of that. Straighten it out. Doesn't need to be super straight, just enough so it doesn't get kinked up as you're doing this. And then find a split between 2 jaws. Put the wire in there, bend it over, and then give the chuck in the jaw like 1 1/4 revolution, just to get things started. And I'm gonna try and do this as holding it up here as best I can. What you want to do is you want this hand to follow the progression of the coil. Don't try and be too intentional with following. Just let it happen naturally. You'll get a feel for it, and that's specifically why I don't like using the nylon or soft jaw pliers. You can use the pliers to straighten the wire as well, but I like using my hands. Start out slow, don't go monkey crazy with this, because you'll just lose control and waste a lot of wire. So start out slow. And as you get the feel, you can speed up. If you feel it getting out of control, slow down. And then once you get the hang of it, you can just go, I wouldn't like go full speed on the drill because that would be crazy. But you see, you may get some gaps and stuff like that, but that's easy to fix. You just push it down, and you can also grab it at the bottom and the top and kind of give it opposite direction twists with both hands, and that'll tighten it up. Now, this isn't the best one I've made, but for demonstration, you get the idea. Then when you're done, you can just slide it off, and to get rid of the mess there, I actually like to put the tips of the snip in there and just clip it right off. You may have to get a little bit of the exposed end or the top end from the drill or from the rod and clip that a little bit as well. No big deal. You can also do that to trim it to size if you need to, but there you go. Next step is you can get it back on the rod and use that as a guide. I'm actually going to turn it around and use that as a guide because it may be just a little oversized to get in those holes, but you can see it kind of fits perfect here. Nice and stable. There you go. And then you just hide your wires through there. Now, to get this to replicate the look of this is actual gooseneck conduit from like a flashlight or whatever. It's just way too big for this application or this saber. To get this look, I like to use a combination of a dark and a light wire. So basically, you have two strands and you coil them around the rod as well. The only thing you got to be careful of is making sure that the one on the bottom doesn't skip over the one on the top, because then it's going to change the alteration of the colors, and it'll be noticeable and kind of messy and ugly. But when you do it, you get that alternating look. So you can see, where did I throw it? Here it is. We're kind of replicating those sections of real flexible conduit. So, experiment and try different things, and see what you get.